Hello and welcome back to the Eternal Dawn. I am your captain, Straw Hat Lucas. Hope everyone out there is doing well today as we get into chapter 1136 of One Piece. Before I go around the table and let my crew, all of our lovely audience, I will be giving a special shout out to a good friend of the channel, Mr. Dexter, who put together this amazingly immaculate new overlay. We've never looked so good. Sadly, our navigator, Miss 3-day trip, was captured by the government. We are going to have to sell to G8 to go get her back. But if I know 3 days, she's over there giving them hell already. So, let's say hello, boys, and then we will get right into this. First up, my right-hand man, the first mate of our resident historian, Mr. Kube of the Red Sea. Kube, how you doing today?
Dude, I am excited. 2025 is officially in. We've got chapter 1136. Oh man, I am so happy. And I can't wait to hear the spices from all the cooks in here.
Oh, I know, I'm excited. Speaking of cooks, a brother of mine, one of my best friends, Mr. Vexus, the Lurking Legend. How you doing?
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Vexus, the Lurking Legend. Y'all can just call me Vex. Super stoked. Yeah, Oda starting 2025 off hot. This is a great chapter. Lots to discuss.
Yeah, could not agree more. And last but certainly least, the lovely helmsman of Mr. Nacriax.
What yeah, boys? Welcome back. Let's start 2025 good. No slander, please.
Please.
I just slandered you in the intro.
I know.
Crazy.
Who?
But yes, so guys, just starting on the title alone, the land that awaits the sun. Oh my goodness. Thriller bark, yes.
Let's go.
Wait a minute.
Right out the gate.
This is what we're all about here, folks. Like and subscribe if. but I love the title. Like I really like all of the I don't know. Like there was one that was like the sun's shield when Dory and Brogy were like coming in an egghead, and like I like all of the like Knack and I were just talking about. Sometimes One Piece just doesn't really hit with the titles, and sometimes it really does. This is one of those that hits. This is such a great title.
Yeah, sadly, my chapter reaction recording didn't go well. But when I first read that title, I had goosebumps legitimately all over my body. And then
It's almost
also
a premonition in a way.
Yeah.
Like we're on the cusp here.
Exactly. And that's what excites me the most. And seeing the cover story with the effigy of who's who being boldly displayed in the land of Wano, I was complaining that the cover story wasn't picking up enough. This is exactly what I wanted to see out of it. This is spicy, boys.
Yeah, it's so funny that it says the mysterious hidden who doesn't know what this is?
Who is that? I have no idea who that is. I'm so baffled. Guys, we have to theorize. Who could this be?
I do have some ideas with that cover story. And I'm wondering if that cover story is actually telling the creation of the island of Fishman Island being deep under sea. Because it's not the first. So if you actually look at it, it's quite similar to how Nami remembers Along Park in Fishman Island when she compares it to the auction house in Sabaody.
Yeah.
And the arc and the cover story arc started with what's called Old Wano. You know, we saw that Onigashima was close to an Old Wano, and as we know, Fishman Island is just underneath the red line. So I'm wondering also with this cover story if it's trying to parallel a similar story that happened to the original Fishman Island, you know, when it was to, you know, maybe at the surface.
Wild.
I'm kind of feeling that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Vex.
No, go ahead, really.
I was thinking that maybe this is who's who is settling down here, almost believing in the prophecy that he's learned about now, and he's awaiting the dawn.
Because he was the first one who mentioned the sun god to us as an audience. And one thing that is like really interesting to me is like Komochio has always had like kind of Gear 5 like hair drawn like around
Mhm.
this like as a lion. And I know that's just kind of like an artistic stylization because of like the way that these types of creatures were depicted in like old Japanese art and stuff like that. But there's also, if you like, shout out to Tainted Marth, friend of the channel, who had the spiral piece theory, and like look at the spirals on Komochio's hair, and then look at the spiral on this cloud up above who's like mask here. And I'm thinking like, is he gonna be aligned with the whole dawn of the world, you know,
Right.
crowd? Everybody
Another
who's,
villain
like,
that Luffy turned. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Indirectly.
You.
So I love
See,
that.
I like that.
I don't need a redemption from Who's Who, but I
Yeah,
mean,
purpose.
I'm cool to see like some character development wherever we can get it, you know.
Yep. I'm totally with you there.
Who?
The thing is, so I'm wondering if it's like with Who's Who. Well, we'll just get to cover. Sorry, but what'll be similar to, you know, after the downfall of the Sun Pirates with Fisher Tiger, Arlong founded, you know, his version of Arlong Pirates from the Sun Pirates. What if it's that, you know, Who's Who did a similar thing? Different story, obviously, but a similar setup.
Yeah, they're calling it a base, but it looks very, you know, religious or like a shrine in a way.
Like a shrine, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's also crazy to think that Who's Who literally was one of the first government adjacent people in what we could presume to be 800 years to be in actual possession of the Nika fruit.
Absolutely
Before
huge.
Shanks, before
Yeah.
Shanks like yoinked it from him. So like, yeah, I'm really intrigued. Like a lot of people have been saying Lucas, and then I know friend of the channel Dak Sake, he's also been really waiting for this cover story to pick up, and it's getting pretty spicy. I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, you said it.
After, you know, Hold'em showing up, which we all know, major threat to the Straw Hats there. I knew I knew it was about to ramp up. Never in a million years did I expect this in particular, though.
Yeah, one last thing I wanted to say about it before like anyone else says anything or we move on from it is like, this is formerly Udon, and Udon was where the prison was when Kaido
Huge.
was in ruling, and where like Kawamatsu and Kid and Luffy were in prison. And what we know about specifically Who's Who as a character is he was in prison, and that's where he had found out about the whole sun god thing. So like, that's crazy.
Yes.
To me, it's pretty deep.
Yeah. That's I didn't even put together that parallel until you just said it. That's spicy right there. With the Udon thing, and then the parallel to it being a prison, and then Who's Who learning about it from the slaves and prisoners of Impel.
Yeah.
So let's move into the chapter proper. I just gotta point out immediately, Luffy says the moose tastes like dinosaur meat. Call back to Little
Hilarious.
Garden. Let's go, baby.
Hell
That was
yeah.
great. It was great too because the moose is literally like a Tyrannosaurus moose.
Yeah.
I also really like, I don't know, that kind of made me think of like way back in like Dragon Ball Z, like Saiyan Saga era. Remember when like Gohan was like having to fight dinosaurs when he was training for Piccolo and stuff, and like with Toriyama's passing, we know Oda was very close with him, and these little things, I doubt they're intentional, but like it's just like, it's sweet, you know. It makes me remember the legacy.
I didn't even think
Yeah, I
about
get
that. And plus, with Oda just now drawing the final guest cover for Dragon Ball, like, mhm.
Totally where his mind was
that's-
at. Yeah.
Exactly. He was thinking about Toriyama Sensei. Rest in peace to the goat.
We get a great shot of the goat again, but I just wanted to point
Ja
out
Rule.
how Cullen is
Let me tell
making
you
the
about my
Nika
baby
pose,
bear.
hey?
Yeah.
That's
Wild.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I keep forgetting how big the giants are. Like this panel where they're all in front of Yarul, and I'm like, oh, these are just normal sized people, until I notice Luffy being held on a plate, like, and he's just the size of a side.
Yeah, there's
a
no
little string
normal
bean.
sized people there.
Yo,
Yeah,
but like,
no.
check out the chef hat on this guy on the left. Peak.
Yeah,
Peak.
he's
Like,
whatever
that's
he's
that's-
cooking.
No, listen, I was upset by this a little bit. Because if anyone should be cooking for Luffy, the savior of the captain of the new warrior pirates, it should be the cook of the new warrior pirates. Goldberg should be out there, like whipping up some dishes. Plus, I love Goldberg and Gerd, so it is any more I get to see of them, the better, you know?
Yeah, I respect that.
So interestingly enough, I don't believe this was called the Sun World before this chapter, was it?
The Sun Realm.
Am I
Yeah.
mistaken?
Yep.
It was the Sun Realm. Yeah.
And we got the astral plane or the astral realm as well for the
It's like the
top level.
heavens.
Yeah. It's like he's playing with the names of them a little bit as he's like continuing the chapter, continuing the arc, which not off-brand for Oda.
I think it's just also like a little bit like when translating, you know, even Viz and some of the scanlation sites and like even people who are native speakers that I speak within the community, like there's things are a little bit ambiguous when you're translating. So
Yeah.
it could just be on us. You know what I mean?
That's all me.
Yep. I like to think that the astral plane, the sun plane, and the underworld are all kind of the official terms of them.
Yeah. Definitely a fun start to the chapter, I won't lie. I love when you open the first page and it's something with a little bit of brevity to it like this. Especially with how spicy of a chapter this gets, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I just have to say, Usopp, my man, already slinging them stories. Oars, the vicious warrior story has been passed down through our history. And he's sitting there telling them, yeah, that's right. He was 3 times this. And I was the one who took him out. Like, I love that so much that Usopp is still carrying on the liar brand. Like, but Cube, I'm surprised I haven't heard you mention this yet. The fact that the Giants definitely know of Oars as a legend.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And I won't lie, this is good because we're gonna find out who that missing Oni Oars, the one between Little Oars Jr. and the Oars that they face in Solo Park.
The second
There's
Oars,
yeah, there's one missing. So this is really exciting stuff.
It really is. Especially
Y'all
like
know
we
me.
had just. Oh, go ahead.
I'm always hyped for more Thriller Bark connections, and you know this was an obvious one with us seeing Loki in chains down in the frozen like tundra of the Underrealm or whatever it's called. And so like that, like to me and a lot of other people I know in the community, that was like a clear like whenever we first see Oars in like the freezer, like in Thriller Bark, it's like so I was already drawing parallels with that, and then this is just even better. Even better, baby.
This more so makes me think, like we were speaking a few weeks back, that maybe this is where Oars was found, in this bottom realm, frozen in the underworld.
Maybe.
I could see that. It'd be very interesting. I like to think that he was found in the land that Don Chinchao left his treasure in.
Or the North Pole.
Those are referred to as different, like, I mean, maybe like the jewel ice sheet is on the land of ice. Like that's obviously like a possibility, but the fact that it's like called like something entirely different makes me, like in the anime, I think they translated it as the ice continent, but they've also stated there are no continents on the One Piece planet outside of the red line itself. So I had a friend of the channel, Kuso Land Theories, shout out to Kuso, look into exactly what characters and kanji they used and whatnot. And it's really like a land of ice, not like an ice continent.
Yeah.
Just like how in the scans this is referred to as like the country that awaits the sun, but we get like the land that awaits this. It's that same exact character that can be translated in several different ways. But I don't know if this is quite where we would have found Oars. My theory on that is that it was the North Pole, because like there's the whole Buggy and Shanks as kids, say like arguing which one's colder, the North or the South Pole and stuff like that. And the fact that those were both confirmed to actually be places that exist in that little flashback makes me think it's there, possibly. But because also we see Loki just chilling quite literally no sweat. You know, so I don't know if
True.
this would be cold enough to take out oars. But
Yeah.
but Usopp definitely took out oars.
Yeah, definitely.
Fun fact.
Like, that is a fun fact. Yeah, Captain Usopp with his 10,000 men took out oars.
I've always said I was always like the theories that whatever island Oars was defeated that icy island, what was left of that island became Sula Bark. You know, instead of moving the body, they moved the land itself.
Wow. Yeah, continent polar is right there in the name.
Continent polar, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like to
Wild.
separate the island. Yeah.
That's actually super spicy. But I just love seeing some Usopp shine. There's literally like a little glimmer, like when he does this thumbs up, like some little like I don't know, like Armstrong from Full Metal, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
it's so
it's
good
really
seeing our boy like in his like role, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And I love seeing Sanji too, kind of chopping it up with the giants, and they're like, "Oh, because they asked Jinbei about his skin being blue, and him telling them that on Fishman Island, yeah, that was wild. But him telling them on Fishman Island that everybody's skin is a different color and stuff like that. And then we get
You just
Sanji
ask
talking
people
about
why they're blue.
These people are
just ask
like,
people why they're blue.
they're almost just as sheltered as the people of Wano. It's like so little travelers make it up to this plane that, all these stories are just stories to them.
Well, it's like Nami, I believe she says it later in this chapter. She thought that all of the giants were pirates, that they'd all traveled the world, but yeah, they're quite sheltered. But I love Sanji just straight up hyping up the giants about how beautiful mermaids are.
I mean, Lucas, what Nami said. Remember what Glory Elder Neon said the first time she in Amazon Lily, when Luffy found out that everyone was a pirate. She said, "Pirates is nowadays just a label for the world government. Anyone that doesn't fit their worldview, they're pirates."
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a loose label now. She said now, meaning that at one point, pirates were a real thing, and then they started labeling a lot of people as pirates.
Yeah,
so it could
exactly.
Be to that, similar to the Kuja as well.
They see the whole of giant race as a pirates. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, it's fine. I was gonna get on to the next panel. I really wanted to see Brooks sing this song. What song is he talking about? I need to hear it.
What Am I Blues? Like, that's so sick. He just like me for real.
Just like me for real.
Yeah, this is a great little moment. We see all the giants like celebrating that they're there. We got that hat. I've seen a couple people point it out. It's like the same sort of style hat that Prince Bruce wears with the big duck bill on one of the giants. It's there's so much jam packed in these little. Oh, in that panel of Sanji talking up the giants. The lady to the left.
Oh yeah. I feel like I'm sent to heaven just being in the presence of so many giant angels. Oh, you're so cute.
Yep, I see it now.
And what does that even say? Like,
right.
That's what I'm wondering. I see FR, is that Freeling?
Yeah.
Freeling.
But these
I
interactions.
just love all these little interactions, and like we missed Zoro from all of the like more candid moments that we've gotten so far, especially with like the Robin and Saul stuff. And so seeing Zoro actually do more than just like ... and just exist in the background of a panel or something like that, like was kind of cool as well.
Yes.
As we get into this interaction with Rodo.
But even though the first thing he says to Rodo is ...
I thought that's all we were gonna get. So the fact that we got
that's right.
Can we all agree though that when Rodo said "punish me, Gerd," we all knew it should have been me?
Oh my god! I tell you, man, he's on the watch list. Rodo's on the watch list.
Just for some context, Rodo comes begging for forgiveness from Nami, and
yes,
Zoro basically laughs at him for being such I don't even know what to say there, but
a weakling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nerd. Nerd.
But he is still bloodthirsty.
He is.
I think he's itching for a fight because he didn't really get a like showdown with Ethan, back on Egghead.
Good old Ethan.
Good old Ethan.
But Roto did give us some interesting fun fact about giants, that they all grew up with the same dream, wanting to become the sun god and rule the world, which is interesting.
That's huge, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Meaning that we were talking about, did Loki really kill unalive his father or not? This puts it more to perspective. If like, it's very common for a giant to grow up with a similar dream as Loki as well. So there could be a traitor in the midst that no one's looking into.
Yeah. Don't hold back next time was one of the funniest lines though before that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Crazy. But yeah, the fact that they all know of the sun god and they all want to, strive to become it means that there's more to this legend than we know. It's not just about a prophetic figure. There's goals involved with the prophecy, and everybody wants to achieve them in some way.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense as well, because when we first entered into this, strange, bizarre place, we were like, oh, that's the sun god, and then we get another like, oh, there's a world outside of this world, and then we're like, oh, that's the sun god, and the whole time we've been thinking that Luffy's the sun god, and it makes a lot of sense that this is a place where everybody strives to achieve that title.
Yeah,
and I think that gives a lot of like it gives a lot of gas to, I guess, like what we currently know and can speculate about Loki as a character.
And for all the confusion we had coming into Elbaf, like, why are they all claiming to be the same person? It's not that they actually think they have a claim. They want to be this person.
Yeah, this is the hero. It's like Spider-Man. Anybody can be behind the mask, and to them, that is what Nika is. It's you can be Nika if you just strive to be him. Which I just got to say this real quick, guys. The Nika lore that we got on these next set of pages, starting out with Zoro, once he hears Sun God looking at Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Peak.
And for me, now we know, like, as we all know, the 3 people who freed people from Impel Down was Buggy, Luffy, and Blackbeard. And we've talked about in the past, especially me and Lucas were talking DM the other day when the chapter came out. We've been talking that there's something weird about the Nika lore when you go through the different people, through the different arc. Like, it doesn't fit the same exact person. And when they say a liberator, he's a god liberation, that was Luffy in Impel Down. God destruction, that was Blackbeard. God of laughter, that was Buggy. So what if, even though there's one sun god,
spicy,
some people might have heard, oh, the sun god did that, and referred to Nika instantly. What if there are 1 or 2 other people in the legends that people are complaining to Nika?
Yeah. And we get this massive panel, not to stop you, we get this huge reveal of what like they have envisioned as the sun god Nika, and my first thought seeing this is, this guy's massive.
Yeah, taking up the whole sky. I do want to say though, real quick, I got myself a little bit of a dub. We've been talking about the parallels of Fishman a lot lately behind the scenes. Myself, Knack, Miss 3, who once again we got to go get from G8. But I had said the other day in VC with the homie Grand Line Bound Chopper, and a member of the community, Miles, that I think that the Giants will see the sun god Nika like the fishmen on Fishman Island had seen Luffy. Some would see him as their savior, the others would see him as a destroyer, until they saw that he was actually the savior. And then we get this conversation of the Giants fighting with each other, being like, don't be foolish. The sun god isn't a ruler, he's a liberator. He's a god of destruction, he's a god of laughter. Like Cube just said. That is some spicy things.
Yeah.
There's been,
and I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, there's been a lot of arguments. I know myself and Dax have gone back and forth about this. Myself and Cube have gone back and forth about this. I always believe that Nika wasn't a real person. It was just a figure, and Joy Boy was the first one to put up that mantle. But there's a lot of evidence throughout the story that, like Kube said, there's 3 of them. And now we got that confirmation this chapter, so it puts to bed that argument completely.
Yeah. I think that it's really like, I don't know, it's really unique, I feel like, of Oda to delve into, like what you were saying, is that like, could it be destruction? Could it be liberation? And like how nuanced that is as like, as we grow older as individuals, you find out that growing
all of it.
Inherently is a destructive process, and like
yes,
so like and liberating as well. And so like there's it's not just the light but the dark as well, and like the sun isn't just about the light, it also casts shadows, and shadows is something that, you know, I'm all about because Thriller Bark top
Thriller
1,
Bark,
but
baby.
I just love like that is like very nuanced, and a lot of the times like when you get like power of friendship and like types of like, you know, tropes in anime, they don't really focus on like the dichotomy that is inherent when you discuss these types of, you know, things. Is like with all the light there comes darkness, with all of the love there comes hatred, and like with all of the hope there comes fear and stuff like that. And like I love that that's like something that Oda is showing, this ambiguity amongst these people who have passed this down through word of mouth and apparently texts, because we hear about these Harley texts.
Right. And I'd like to throw out like it could sorry, just to throw it out, it could actually be referring to the one person and just the perspectives of all the people that witnessed the events.
Dude, I was about to say the exact same thing. It's all about perspective. Rob Lucci and Kaido saw Luffy go in Gear 5 as a demon, but Bonnie saw him as a liberator. The crew saw him as this laughing monster. It's all about perspective with Nika, and I think that this one panel confirms that for us completely.
I mean, pick up Big Mom. When she was trying to take Jinbei's life, everyone saw darkness, but when Jinbei showed that he didn't fear her, he just saw white light behind her.
Wild.
Yeah, and then this is Spicy's too, with Luffy talking directly to Yarul. And Yarul, you can tell he's picking up on, because he's like, Bonnie was talking about that, because and Yarul's like, you know, oh, it's because he's the sun god. He's shown with a cloud of white and white clothes and laughing a lot. And Luffy's like, straight up, oh, that must be why everyone said I mind him. Like,
yeah,
ooh, we're about to get the Giants seeing Luffy as Nika.
Well, you know, they've like several Giants have already mentioned his bounty poster. Yeah. You know, Ja Rule, which I will always call him Ja Rule, has seen
what you know about my baby?
His poster. I just think the most interesting thing about this is like, yeah, it's a really cool interaction, because we were like, dude, every single time somebody brings Nika up in this arc, I'm just like, oh my god, is this about to be the moment we all expect for, like I talked about it several discussions ago, is this where Luffy finds out? Is this where the levee breaks and we get that moment that we're all looking forward to? No, we didn't get it here, but I was on the edge of my seat. But what was really, really good payoff, and I didn't feel let down at all, was we found out that the world has been destroyed at least 2 times already. So these texts, could this be something that even outdates the poneglyphs? I know I've heard some people talking about this, because the poneglyphs are said to have been from the Void Century. That is only the most recent wiping of the slate. Is there like a more archaic history that somehow Elbaf has these texts that are even more esoteric?
Kube has brought this up a few times.
I think I know what era they come from. Yeah.
Well, Kube has mentioned how in the time skip, Robin is teaching Koala about other ancient languages that she has an inherent ability to read.
Basically, she describes her abilities to, because they say, how do you know so many languages? Well, I mean, I know Poneglyph, ancient language, and some other languages, but I don't know all of them. And this is, so how can you tell the difference in the words? Just like Nami said it went to Belmer. I always had a feeling understanding certain words came to me.
What I was going to say is, with what Vex had said, I think we got a hint at when that first cataclysm was. And if you look at the Tantada's history, because they have all the way back to what did they say, like 1500 years ago, and then it goes up to the Void Century blank, and then everything after that. So if they have, Oh, good.
Probably the best thing we have to go off of outside of that, which is still word of mouth, is that Robin had described the age of heavens circle, and that was like one calendar. And then we also have the age of sea circle, which
I
is
think
a separate
that's our
calendar.
biggest evidence.
And that's probably like when, like, it's almost like in our real world, we have had several ice ages. Most people think of ice age, they just think of Sid the Sloth and like it happened once, right? Like, no, we've gone through several ice ages followed by interglacial periods, and there will probably be another ice age, you know, at some point on a long enough time frame, and we are just in an interglacial period right now.
Yeah, there's been 4 cataclysms, 4 mass extinction level events on our world.
And so, yeah, I think that that's really interesting that Oda has also included that. And a long time ago, I was clicking on like Ice Age piece and was like, oh man, yeah, like the whole world used to be frozen because like the previous interglacial period in our real world before the most recent Ice Age was actually called the Eemian Epoch, I believe, or era or something.
Yes, sir.
So that's crazy to me, but I don't know
And
if
caused
it's
the
that
global
deep.
flood.
Yeah, well, that's the
true.
Younger Dryas. The Younger Dryas is what caused the global flood. And I've cooked on that, just like you just said, Vex. There was a year ago, I was all about the Younger Dryas, how it will tie into like the flood of the One Piece world.
And that pulls in with the Noah and like so much more about what we can speculate from Joy Boy's time and probably the end game of One Piece. So very spicy stuff there. Go ahead, Kube, sorry.
Yeah, no. I did a bit of research on the name Harley. Because it was just such a specific thing. I said, is it playing on Harley Davidson, you know, and stuff like that. And actually, I found something that goes back to Old Hebrew and Old English. It actually referred to a meadow, you know, area with grass and woods. But also, it has another naming. It could actually also be called back then, which translates to God of Mountain, which we know in One Piece. It has been referenced in the past. It can also be written as Hare or Hara, basically O'Hara without the O, which I found very interesting.
Crazy.
The old writing of it.
Is it still Harley in the officials?
Yes,
so sorry, Vex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still hard in the officials.
Yeah, in Japanese, I think there's also Hare. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I think that's like it's like a saying that is like it's like like good weather or like on like a pleasant day. So like maybe like a sunny day. That's probably a reach, but it's interesting because I didn't really dig too deep into the whole Harley thing. Because I actually heard from the Will of Dreams or the Will of Fire or the Will of O'Hara, whatever name he goes by. But the GOAT that's in our community, major shout out to him. And he was contemplating, among other individuals, but I gotta shout Will out every single one of these discussions. He was thinking it could be like Haley, like because the R and the L are potentially interchangeable. We do have the officials now to go off of, and we do see that it is Harley. But again, Viz translations have been incorrect in the past. So and like Haley's comet would be something that's like really interesting because it ties in with celestial bodies, just like the Gorosei and the ancient weapons and what we presume Im Blackbeard and Luffy all also represent.
Yeah, I when I first saw the name Harley, it almost stood out to me like one of the oldest religious texts that exist in our world is the Epic of Gilgamesh. And Gilgamesh is just a man, and that's the events that they're telling around is the events that happened to Gilgamesh. And it makes me wonder if Harley is also just a giant or a historian, and they call them the Harley texts because he was the one who wrote them.
He's
Almost like a Louis
guy.
Arnott situation. Yeah, he was just a chill guy.
Just
No,
a
but
chill
maybe
guy.
like in the Epic of Gilgamesh, he was the hero of that epic. And that's why they call it the Harley text. Shout out again, Tainted Marth. You know, he has that theory that the One Piece is going to be something meta, like a comic book or something like of that effect. And I think that this could be something that we need to look at with the Harley text. This is the tale of one man and what happened with him and the sun god Nika and how he saw the sun god Nika. And I think it's very telling with what we've been saying about Nika this whole time chapter, that Luffy is the liberator, right? But then on Elbaf, Loki, who also wants to be Nika, is the destroyer. He wants to destroy the world because that's how he interpreted Nika.
I think it could also, it could also stand to emphasize the parallels and inversions between Luffy and Blackbeard. Because when we're first introduced to him, it's like, oh, he likes the lemonade, but he hates it. Oh, he likes the cherry pie, but he hates it. And that they are supposed to be these, like inverted, trope kind of like figures and whatnot. And
same coin, different side.
One represents the sunlight, one represents the darkness and stuff like that. Like, so having that liberation and destruction, like dichotomy, like what we were talking about earlier, I think is also really, really cool because it strengthens some of the symbolism between figures that we already know and also these new faces like Loki.
Yeah. I think, we're talking about, Blackbeard, Luffy, I brought up Buggy, but in a way, it's kind of interesting. Those three ones on how they liberated Impel Down and Marineford stuff and everything in the story, like, they're the three pirates who are really changing the world, Blackbeard, Buggy, and Luffy. It's interesting that they all have a different connection to Shanks, who Loki also has. Like, he's, you know what I mean? He's like that screw that connects all of them in a way, in different ways.
It's almost like he's the herald that will bring whichever one becomes Nika into the light.
Yeah, in a way.
I just gotta say, I love this panel of Loki as he burns down the village.
There's a menace.
No,
he's
drawn like Marvel Loki though. Like he's got the gloves and the yellow belt too. That's how I picked.
But he looks so much like Doflamingo.
Yeah. But he's laughing like Nika.
But what is let me see what the officials say about like what is this all of the terrible things that were happening surrounding Loki's birth. This is actually pretty spicy because we actually put out a short on the channel. Go check it out by the lovely Miss 3-Day Trip. We'll get you back from G8, don't worry. But it like of why he would have been called the accursed prince in the first place, and if the gods, this was a W she claimed before this chapter even came out, but like before we even got spoilers, she was like contemplating, are the God's Knights going to show up and try to capture Loki? And lo and behold, they are. But we'll get into that more in a little bit, trying to keep it in order of the chapter panels and whatnot. But like these like terrible things that all started to happen, and they make sure to mention Mother Caramel as well, which is very spicy. We've talked about this. Yeah, but what do y'all think about this horse? Is also like something I wanted to bring up.
Dude, like for me, it's this why I was making connection to the Silva to Doflamingo, because the one thing we didn't get on the original lore of Don Quixote that Doflamingo is based off is his horse that was called Rocinante. So I find it very interesting. Doflamingo kills his brother Rocinante, and now they're saying he killed the lucky horse. It's like it's I don't know what it is, but it's and I have to give a W to Knack because the stuff they talk about King Harold prophesized, Knack was talking, I think a month or 2 months ago, saying, what if in Big Mom's flashback was the first breadcrumbs? Mother Caramel being the seeds of Loki being the demise of the giants, Force enemies in that circumstance, in a way. But
I don't know why.
Higurashi.
Oh, good.
For Roshi.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
exactly.
But when I heard about the horse, I thought of the Welsh tradition of Marylood, where they take the skull of a horse and like parade it around for
Crazy.
It's wild.
Well, it's a holy horse. It's like and stuff like that.
The first thing I thought of,
something about it was it got me thinking that. I don't know
omen.
why, but it did.
I took it as
an omen. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I thought of is because we're in the land that's full of Norse mythology. There's literally a dude named Loki chilling, and is like a Sleipnir.
You don't have to do this.
Odin's horse.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about the Norse mythology where Loki breeds with a horse.
I
Oh
was
my
not
God.
gonna do that at all.
Yeah, I was like, no, please
It's
don't.
crazy that that's where your mind went because I mentioned Odin, but Odin has a horse. It's like a 6-legged horse or something like that. His name is like Sleipnir. And I was like, because this is King Harald, the father of Loki, who's the father of Loki in Norse mythology is Odin. So, if we're drawing parallels, to real life, mythology, that lucky horse would in fact be Sleipnir, right? I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, so that's like a really enigmatic figure, like in the tales of Odin and stuff like that. Like Odin, like with an I, not Odin, like you got to be boiled,
we got
or,
it.
like born to boil or anything. But it's really interesting to me that we also had a discussion yesterday, like a live stream on our channel about the Gods Knights, which we did talk a little bit about this chapter, but not much. Mostly the latter half of things that we haven't gotten to yet. But in that discussion, we mentioned the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which is like, I don't know, like you were mentioning like a bad omen. Like if this was like a lucky horse, and in its place, like we start to get like war represented, or death, or famine, or conquest, or pestilence,
Yeah, what did they say about death? Death becomes on a white horse. Like, that's another,
Pause.
When Nak said omen, gosh. But when Nak had said that's what I thought immediately. It's like a pale horse or something like that. But I like the idea of the 4 horsemen. And then we have 4 emperors as well.
I still think
Shanks is
that someone's influencing the Giants to believe this. Like all these acts weren't just Loki. There's someone pushing the strings.
I think Loki did nothing wrong.
No,
Same.
I definitely think he's a bad person, but I think he was pushed to that direction.
Hashtag Loki did nothing wrong in the chat, everybody, or in the comments.
Don't do that.
Hashtag
But-
Yarul killed Harold. Let's go.
Oh
Like
my
a
goodness.
treble-like
Loki
figure.
was framed.
I
Free
wouldn't
Loki
be
was
surprised if we have a
Hashtag
treble-like
free
figure.
Loki.
Sorry, hold on, wait. Nak, what were you saying?
No, there'll
what
be
did you
like
say,
a
man?
treble-like figure in the background that influenced them to do this stuff. And I don't think the horse died randomly. I think there's the same person that spread the rumor of the accursed prince is the one who took out the horse.
Yeah.
It's like
I've been saying for like 2 weeks now that I think that the old guard, like Yarul and the others, probably weren't the biggest fan of King Harold trying to make the race less warrior focused and more knowledge based. It could have probably rubbed some of them the wrong way, especially when mighty warriors of Elbath with their society for we don't know how many centuries. So I think the possibility of Loki being framed or a long, it's pretty high.
I mean, especially with 3-Day, Lucas, and Nax talk about the Pirate of Fishman Island. Hiroshi knew who did what to her mother. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it could be a similarity where the person, the real culprit. And we also get the mantra of how Loki works. So it could be one of those loopholes where Loki specifically, he doesn't see the purpose of just saying who truly is. Doesn't change anything in his plans. So he might not have done the deed, but he, at the end of the chapter, he kind of, says, yeah, well, if you die, you die. It is what it is,
Well, I kind of think
Like,
that Loki is doing these deeds,
be.
but the horse
Yeah.
in particular is what I mean. I think that was an outside force that got the ball
what's
rolling.
crazy-
My thing is that what if there's actually someone Loki seen it more than a few times, but it does, what I mean? Oh yeah, like Luffy. Oh yeah, Ace's father is Roger. Like that type of mentality. Like he knows who it is, who's been doing all that, and Loki is just the usual suspect.
Well, we have to think about the narrative here, not just the one that's being given to us by Oda, but the one that's given to the Giants through some esoteric means, because it literally mentioned this page has so much to talk about. So I want to make sure we focus on all of this stuff before we get too into the Loki interactions in the later part of the chapter. But it says even before Loki's birth, King Harold was prophesied. King Harold prophesized that he would be killed by his own son. How many prophecies have we seen in One Piece? Like, I believe there's only really been like one, right? Like the Fishman Island, well, two, both by Charlie. Yeah, the birth of of Poseidon, the mermaid princess, and then the destruction of the Red Line itself.
There's a third one. Odin specifically like able to foretell when Luffy's arriving in Wano. So
you are the moon, unaware of the dawn. Yeah, like so.
Ooh,
but like
bars.
it's so crazy. It's actually insane that we get another prophecy, because I've been talking about prophecies for like the past 2 weeks, like while we were in a dry spell without a chapter. So like I don't know, man. This is crazy to me. Like that really stuck out as far as like all of this. We got so much about Loki's like upbringing and backstory and like the whole meaning behind why there's this huge stigma. And it's just more about like Elbaf as a nation, as a society, and their history and stuff like that. So it's like I loved this little middle part of this chapter so much. This chapter felt like 3 chapters to me.
Yeah, with how much information lore-wise on Nika we got, with the information about Loki, small flashback of his quote-unquote pranks. Haha, funny prank, bro. Burned down 6 houses. There was just so much information here. So much to go off of.
Also, and don't you find the coincidence of the age again? It's a flashback of someone's age around 10 years old again. Which is really crazy when you think of the amount of characters we've had that. Like why the number 10?
Mm-hmm.
Odin, Nami as well, Ace and Sabo.
Oh yeah.
Bonnie,
the Flamingo.
Bonnie, the whole start of the series was 10.
Yeah. The Flamingo. When he unalighted Father, he was 10 years old.
And then even like the shout out to Shirahoshi, it's like it'll happen in 10 years, so it's -10. Are we counting that?
Yeah. I mean, technically, yes.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
But I also wanted to bring up, this panel that silhouettes Harold.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Cool. This is crazy. This is such a good
dude's chat
showing.
How does he even walk around? Yeah, I'll know where I'm going.
But listen, to support my harebrained theory of, oh my god, Dak. The harebrained theory that Yarul had a part in killing King Harold, he was there.
Yeah, but his helmet saved him in the end.
Stop Luffy. His helmet saved him in the end.
Good thing he had his helmet.
I love this bit so much. I hope it continues.
Somebody had mentioned in Daxake's live reaction, major shout out to that goat, and he brought it up on his redacted channel. He did a theory discussion of this chapter with Kev DOG, another goat. Make sure you go support the homies.
Congrats on 11K, by the way, Kev.
And congrats on 80K for Dak, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But, they had been talking about the potentiality that this sword within Ja Rule's head is King Harold's sword. So that could lead into because if you look at them, there's like like Dak really analyzed it. So go check out the redacted video that he did with Kev. It's solid. It's 2 hours of greatness. Make sure you guys go support that second channel of his. We'll get that one to 80K before too long, but
Dak was really cooking because they're almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with what you were saying, that perhaps there is like an ulterior motive and like a different story being spun here, framing Loki. So hashtag free Loki.
Free Loki, I got to message Dak because I've been spitting on this Yarul killed Harold theory, and that little piece of evidence just now cemented it in my mind that most likely what happened.
It was a member of his chat. I would love to shout them out. There was so much going on in the chat, like when I was like watching his live reaction to the chapter. So it's not something that Dak himself came up with, but he really vibed with it. Same with me and with Kev. They spit on it quite a bit in that redacted video. But whoever that was, you are a goat for pointing that out. Like that's crazy.
Because even like the hilt and everything, it lines up perfectly. Unless Loki took his father's sword and used it on Yarul, like that's Oh
and if this is like a Sabo and Cobra situation, and like like somebody was clearly framed, like I don't know, it's really spicy. Sorry, go ahead, Cube.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like, if you remember Fishman Island, on top of that parallel, it was the person who called out, "I found the culprit," that was the one behind it. Cody Jones was the one who found the body, saying, "Yeah, it's him," etc. So it could be something. Oh my God,
you're right.
So it could be as similar as the one who's telling us now the story could be actually, the man who, like the no one integrates questions the questioner. Yeah, no one questions the questioner. It could be that situation.
And he's the one who's telling us that, like, oh, King Harold himself prophesied he'd be killed by his son. Yeah, you would say that if you were the dude who did it, right? Like, like, I don't. Maybe we're cooking. Maybe this is like hopium. I don't know. Like, but like we have so little to go off of. It's great that there's the room for this kind of discussion. Like, I'll continuously say this about One Piece, that Oda has meticulously crafted a story with little to absolutely no borders, so that we can go crazy and have these hour-plus long discussions about like
before we go off that too, like, we all know Luffy is a great judge of character, and he's literally convinced Loki's
chill.
in the right here.
He's a chill guy.
So I honestly think there could be something to this. You guys are really cooking and really changing my mind here.
I hope I'm not reading too much into the bit, but Luffy, every time he says the helmet didn't do anything, he just seems slightly aggressive towards Jarl. I think he's a great judge of character. Yeah, I'm saying though. But no, I think, like I said, I've been thinking about this for weeks because it just makes so much sense. And then Q, what you said about Cody and being like, oh my God, a human killed Otahime. Like, no.
And then go even further.
Jarl. Oh my God, his son killed Harold. No, you did it. Like,
go even further. The discrepancy on what Orochi was told by Higurashi about his family being hunted, but then you see Odin and his father when they found out he was a Kurozumi. There's not an order to wipe them all out. And then, but Sukiyaki he never actually explained what went down. Oda did it in a way that we got the lore from Higurashi, and whatever the Sukiyaki was saying, he never actually was referring that story. He was just saying, that attack that happened. We don't really know if it really went down the way Higurashi said it. Another example of don't trust the person telling you the story.
Well, I mean, Tama's a Kurozumi as well, also not threatened to be wiped out.
Exactly, and he took care of her for years.
Yeah, for years. Which I always did think that was like not to get off topic, but I always thought that was like retribution for what had happened with the Kurozumis.
Wow.
But I could be, I could be wrong about that.
To get back to like the next beat of the chapter, though, it's like we find out a little bit more about what interaction Rhodey and Loki had, and it's like figuring out like Shanks's whereabouts, and he's like, "Yo, get the key, free me," basically, and like Zoro being like, "So you're gonna trust the dude who's like a reviled Kingslayer?" And Luffy doubles down and is like, "You haven't even met him, what do you like?" So he
knows where Shanks is.
And Luffy is a really good judge of character, typically, like you were saying, Nak. So this is so spicy, like us figuring out. And I just also really love to see like the original three being shown, and like their bond, and like the intuition, like about like behind like their motives. And like Nami's fully on board for treasure, but like I feel like that's just like she's also just ride or die with the boys. And Zoro's like, he's gonna back up his captain and make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, and Luffy's like going gung-ho straight into what he believes to be correct. And like seeing these are the first three Straw Hats we got. Well, not technically, but
it's good to see the captain, the first mate, and the vice captain together again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna say, I love the conversation between Luffy and Zoro, because we were just talking about how good of a judge of character Luffy is, and Zoro even admits to him, "I'm just basing on his reputation. I didn't see him." Like, like you said, he's backing up his captain. You know, he's trying to meet on Luffy's level, like, and trusting Luffy's judge of character, but at the same time saying, hey, if he's lying, we're gonna take him out.
Luffy hasn't let him down yet.
Exactly. Luffy believed in Robin when Zoro did not trust her, and now, you know, everyone loves Robin. Luffy has always been a good judge of character.
Yeah, look at Nami as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can we just shout out?
We're gonna go get her.
For putting
Zeus said the most funniest thing. He said the funniest
First
thing.
it's me, then it's Sanji, then it's you.
Oh my god.
What were you gonna say,
I can't
Kube?
believe.
No, Zeus, I think he might have said the biggest quote of the arc already. I'm sorry, that quote of Zeus had me dead.
I'm servant number 1, Sanji is number 2. You got that? That one?
Yeah.
Zeus
He's so proud of
zapped him
it
as
too.
well.
So
He's so
I will
proud
give
of
credence,
it.
I will give credence because, you know, there's this fear of, you know, what if Nami and Imu share the same will? We've heard those theories in different ways. I just find it very interesting that Nami is the one Straw Hat that still has that trope of people who work for her. She treats them like, you know, almost not saying celestial, but you know what I mean. Servants, like just saying,
Yeah,
like
servants.
it does give credence. It does give credence to that theory of that connected between Nami and Imu.
I just have to Vex in the Discord chat said that he's simp skilling.
I wasn't gonna say it on YouTube because I know Twitch don't like that word, but yeah, that's crazy to me. Like just like me for real. But yeah, so then we we see
Also-
really... Go ahead.
Yeah, so you know, as they're where we are right now is like they're sailing towards that different realm of Rodo and everything. Don't you feel like Rodo kind of gives you the vibe of some of the people during the Skypiea arc? Some of the priests, the hairstyle, the way the face is. I don't know. It gave me the vibe.
Wow.
It gave me the vibe of one of those priests.
The berets, whatever they're called, I forget. Like,
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah,
Interesting.
like I have to look back in Skypiea, but it just gave me, when I read it the second time, I said, dude, it gives me Skypiea vibe, like, you know, Skypiea characters almost, Skypians, people from Skypiea, Skylands. But yeah,
I think
That's
it's also
something
really interesting. We don't really see too much of, like, there's some Straw Hats that are like so in their role, like Brooke's always playing music, Chopper's always like diagnosing or like, you know, treating or something like, but like
Nami's collecting slaves.
very rarely gets to chill. Nami very rarely gets to show her chops as a navigator. Like every now and then we'll get like a lore bomb and we're like, oh yeah, this is just like shit that every navigator knows. But like seeing Rodo try to, like, I don't know, pucker up to her and just be like, oh look, I'm a navigator just like you. Then she puts him in his place. She's like, hey, don't ever try to be like, don't ever like,
Don't ever brown nose
try to
me
get
again.
close to me again. Yeah, like, and so like, it's really funny, but we don't see a lot of some of the crew's roles, so it was just cool to see that brought up as well, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I love when the crew like fits into their role. It's like when Frankie, once again, Thriller Bark, built the bridge out of nowhere and was like, the crown moldings could be better. Like, I love that stuff.
There's characters where I'm just like, wait, you do that? Like, I don't, like, does anyone remember Eustace Kid's a shipwright?
Oh,
No.
God, no. I forgot
Yeah, like,
about
that's
that.
crazy,
Yeah.
right?
And it makes
So it's
so
like-
much sense for his character and power.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so like there's just like little moments like these that I'm just like, yeah, I'm cool with this. This is great. But yeah, I think next we get into the absolute spiciest stuff of like, this is crazy what we get into next with what's going down in the underworld, right?
Shout out 3-Day for this one.
Yeah, this is huge. This is absolutely huge.
I know. Loki has that big ass hammer. I've been talking about Usopp lifting. I'm telling y'all. He's gonna lift that hammer. I don't know how, but I know he's going to.
You say it's a hammer. I'm saying it's a poneglyph for Robin to read.
That would be
Wild.
insane. I've heard this take before, and I like it a lot. His hammer is made of the Last Road poneglyph.
I
Like,
find
I'm
it
just happy. We're talking
Happy.
about weapons. Sorry, real quick, Mac. We're
Yeah.
talking about weapons. I'm just really happy that this is the second chapter in, and I'm going strong all 2025. The bingo piece is real. I put it on my bingo card. The giant sword on Elbath will never be mentioned, not once in all of 2025, and we still haven't gotten that. So go ahead.
It's a lawn
Keep
ornament.
that trend going. I find it another like little, tick towards the idea that Loki's not who we think he is. He's absolutely appalled by the idea of becoming a celestial dragon. He doesn't think that is at all what anybody should strive to become.
And also, this
very
interaction,
Nika-like.
and this interaction has put it to bed of all the people who are so saying that no, he doesn't look at all like Shanks. It's very clear that it's literally a carbon copy of the guy, or at least very close to it.
I like that Oda's trying so hard to cover up that right side of his face. Or
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah, dude, we can tell it's him. We can tell that they look exactly the same, but yeah. Now,
also, Roto's capturing government agents, crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. But like, it's crazy too because Loki poses the question of them right off the bat in this like second major panel here. It's like, so you guys must be celestial dragons, right? And all we see is like this Shanks like figure, like Stabs or Banks or Shiv or whatever, and he's
Shaggy.
just like, where's the intel from? And I'm just like, oh, so that's like a non-answer, but that's really interesting.
Yeah. The fact that he dodged the question.
yeah.
Yeah.
And remember, if that person is the person that met the Gorosei, not Shanks, the Gorosei did tell him when he came to the side of the reverie, you're not welcomed in this part. So now it's very clear that he is a God's Knight. Why would they say that to a God's Knight? If they're, like I said, it could be an association to Celestial Dragon, because same thing with the Gorosei. I don't remember, and I actually looked back, and unless someone could find the panel, and I'm wrong. We got Oda box of Celestial Dragon for the Flamingo, for St. Carlos's family, Mio's Guard. We never got it for the Gorosei. We just got Saint on it. So it could be we are saints, but we're in a lesser branch of the Celestial Dragons. And Akainu isn't scared of the Gorosei, but he fears the Celestial Dragon with the astronaut suits.
What's really crazy too is like we saw the commander of the God's Knights march right into the room of authority, and they're like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Like again,
I'm one of
like,
you.
like you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, dude walks in like it's heavy, and is like, "No, I'm him. Like I'm one of y'all." Like, so I mean that's crazy, is because I didn't really even think about it like that. But yeah, the room of authority, like God's Knights probably aren't definitely not welcome. So like this does kind of strengthen that it's maybe potentially. I think everything's still on the table. This could just be Shanks. This could be a twin. This could be a clone. This could be like a shadow doppelganger or something. This could be so many different things. But
Shadow, Thriller Bark Stocks.
let's go. But
And I do believe
But
the
we didn't
first Oda box we got for the Gorosei didn't say anything about Celestials. It said the highest authority in the world, or something
The
along
Five
those
Elders.
lines.
Yep.
And what we know is the world government was founded by the 20 kings. You know what I mean? Association, but not... It's like a bit like Marines and world government. For a very long time, people thought it was the same thing. Then we realized, oh no, they're just something that was attached to the world government, but not world government.
Supreme leaders
well-
of the world government is the official we had.
Yeah.
When we found out about Garling, though, he had Saint in his name.
Yeah,
And he
but
was
also
a
all
holy
the
knight,
Celestial
so-
Dragons. Yeah, it could be Saint is what they all share, but maybe being labeled the Celestial Dragon is maybe reserved to the 20 Kings, because think about it, the Flamingo was referred as a Celestial Dragon, but he made the connection, I am also part of the 20 Kings.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
one thing-
and then, oh yeah.
while we're talking about this, we did literally just get an Oda box in this very next panel after what I was talking about. And I don't see the word Saint or Celestial Dragon anywhere in it. It just says Holy Knight Gunko,
Uncle.
Yeah.
which is crazy. Like I didn't think we were going to see these people for another couple chapters, and here we are with a name reveal and like a
Right.
full face. And what a sick design. Lucas, contain yourself, please. But what a sick design. For
We talked about this yesterday, but the possibility of her being robotic in a sense with the feet and the eyes. Oh man, it's super compelling.
I'm
Like
still
a
on the
raid suit.
Manmeyer train of thought. I really am.
Also, Lucas, there was a point I brought up yesterday. You weren't on stream, so I'll go bring it up very fast. But it's also, look at her style of closing. It's very similar to the Joes of Impel Down, King, and Shiryu.
Yeah.
In Domino.
And
Very Domino-esque.
Yeah, Impel Down employees, you know. And you know what it actually now makes me think of, since I thought of it, as a train conductor style. If you look at with the hat as well.
I'm sorry, hearing Knack.
Dumb.
Just fondly remember Dumb. But there's so
He
much
was like,
to
oh yes.
yeah, there's so much to dive into on this paneling here. Like we get confirmation of some sort of like bandage or tape adjacent power set. Maybe it's like Polly's rope action. Maybe it's like an ancient or mythical Zoan type devil fruit or a paramecia. Maybe it's a yokai power because we see the arrowhead like Emu's YouTube thumbnail attack, you know, is what King Recon calls it, which is so funny to me.
And the other people have brought up now that she could be a long leg tribe as well. I like the idea of that. I just want to get
that,
more.
but I believe it was Vex who said this, is that like with how purebred the people of Maurice Wall are, I don't see them allowing a long leg tribe person to live among them.
Yeah,
That could explain why they want Loki as a God's Knight, you know what I mean? Holy Knight. Like maybe it's this, you know, special rank for those people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
with her having bandages like around where her knees are supposed to be, maybe this is somebody who's been cybernetically augmented. I know that 3-Day Trip had mentioned that this could be somebody who has cybernetics, like what Knack was saying. That could be like a robot eye or something like that, is why she has the 2 different eye designs. And I think that with the introduction of the Seraphim, that's actually super likely, because we do see that the Seraphim also have distinct eyes comparatively to what normal humans have, like with what we saw from S Snake and S Hawk and whatnot. So this is really cool. She could be somebody who has been augmented to almost like Monet or like some of the other figures that we saw Law messing around with, like their anatomy and so like there's so much that could be going on here, but I'm hard pressed to believe that they're so xenophobic, like that they would invite a giant on or a long leg or long arm tribe person on without having some sort of ulterior motives. Like I don't think that they're actually extending a legitimate position to Loki. I think they're trying to just form like an alliance with him to make it easier to take down Elbath, and then they'll double cross him. Like that's my whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that
also,
though. I like that train of thought.
What if it's similar to the real life with the royals? You can't be the ruler of the land and a knight. You can't serve the army and the people at the same time. What if putting people to God's Knights is also to get rid of like the rightful, like let's say that they found out there's actually some scheme behind and Loki is not actually the culprit, meaning that Loki might actually have the only person who has a true right for the reign. But if Loki puts himself into a situation where he cannot become ruler anymore, you know what I mean, it creates that thing where they can bring out a candidate they want, or just them taking over the island, you know. So it's quite interesting.
Not to derail or anything, but one thing I noticed, at least, I don't know, this is just something interesting to me, is they obscured the original Manmeyer eyes when Oda first showed her in God Valley. And I was wondering if the reason that Oda did that is because she has the same eyes as Gunko. Like I said,
it could be interesting. I am immediately, when I saw the hat, I was like, oh yeah, maybe.
Me too.
Like I could see, because you had mentioned this to me before in VCs, like not actually as a part of like content, like these discussions or a live stream, but just in like our leisure. You had mentioned this to me, and I made sure to bring up the possibility as well in our stream that we did yesterday on the channel. Make sure you guys go check that out. We were absolutely cooking on a whole bunch of stuff there. But I don't know, like the fact that like this text box, I feel like it would have given us like Gunko Manmeyer or Saint Gunko or something like that if they were
Saint Manmeyer Gunko.
Yeah, if they were like of like some sort of reputable like family, well, especially because when that person spoke in the God Valley flashback to Garling, they were very proud. They were like, the Manmeyer family will have this trophy. So it makes me less inclined to believe that it's still definitely a possibility, but I'm not sure on it.
My
thought process
the revs were designed similar way when they were in pre-time skip. Other than Dragon, when you look at the other revs, the eyes were silhouetted. You couldn't see their eyes pattern. So
my thought process with it is, we saw that she directly was talking to Garling when she said that. She was like, telling Garling, oh, the Manmeyers are the ones that's victory. And it makes me think that maybe she had some kind of almost rivalry with Garling, and maybe that rivalry carried on into her family, and it pushed Gunko to become a holy knight, where her mother or whatever figure that Manmeyer person is could not, because she is not confirmed to be a god knight. I think she's just a celestial that was taking place in the hunting game. But the fact that she didn't have a bubble on her head, it tells me that she is not the same level of celestial as, say, Charlos or Roseward or something like that. So it is very interesting. I need more from God Valley. I think we all need more from God Valley.
Yeah, to speak on the bubble thing, there's also just like such an interesting way of this person interacting. We see the Shanks figure being very reserved, and this other individual, much like when they interrogated the giants back over at the OS Castle or whatever it was called. This person, Gunko, is interacting in a very holier than thou type of way. Like literally they said, you breathed on me, and then start attacking the wolf. So like maybe a bubble would have been a good call for somebody with this temperament, But
especially saying that when she hears Loki speak, he's nothing but insolent. Like, that's very much holier than thou are.
And when we go back to the previous interrogation of the giants at that castle, I believe the giant's name is Bogey or whatever, but their verbiage there was also like very like, they're like, hey, that wasn't a warning, like, like, or like
we're above
the
you.
way that they're very, very distinct from the way that the common individuals would speak. Like this person is speaking from on high, like it feels like.
Yes.
So that's like, it made me kind of think like, because we see this other figure who's much more reserved, and then this person who's like very, very, very in your face about, I'm better than you. Is this like I brought this up in the stream yesterday as well. Is this like a satellite type of thing? And this is somebody who embodies one specific trait of emus, and then the Shanks figure embodies a different trait maybe. And like we've seen time and time again the whole 7 deadly sins trope in anime and manga and just fiction in general. So like maybe if this person's like wrath or pride or something like that would be really interesting to me, and a parallel to like what the satellites were for Vegapunk.
So do you think that Emu has their hands in the god or holy knights as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially that's what I thought as well with Gunko, like the form of her power, very, very Emu-esque. And it's clear that the Gorosei, a huge dub for me way back when, share the power of Emu. So do you think if she is giving the God Knights, Holy Knights, whatever you want to call them, power, that it's a lesser extent than what she's giving the Gorosei?
We spoke pretty in depth about it yesterday on the stream, and the way to
Mhm.
boil it down in summation, it was like the Gorosei have longevity and regenerative powers, as well as whatever their yokai forms give them. Like Top Man had like the roar and like crazy defense, and then like Saturn had like the head splody stare and like the poison and stuff. So like they all had like their own suites, but we didn't really get like an island-wide cataclysm like to the level that we thought we were going to get from the Gorosei. But they have like, we saw Saturn 200 years ago and he hasn't aged a day, whereas Garling, who is a God's Knight and was, you know, like he's aged like milk. Like dude has had a rough 40 years, you know, like since all of that went down.
He's aged worse than anyone in the story. If you look at him in 30 years ago, he looks around the same age as Shanks when he met Luffy.
Yeah, if they are bestowed powers by Emu similarly, there is some levels of distinction. Like, because the Gorosei are meant to be faces to the public, I feel like they have like those regenerative properties and like that ageless form to preserve them defensively, whereas I feel like these, like whatever we're gonna get from the God's Knights, this is like the offensive capabilities, like a sword and a shield, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, see, with the Garling too, I find it fascinating that yes, he has aged, but do you think we clearly won't see it in the story? Maybe by exposition that he will stop aging now that he's part of the Gorosei.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah,
I think so as well.
Jupiter looks way young. It seems like if the guy, regarded, like the other ones are old, so you could make a
Look
case.
at how he walks.
Yeah, like dude is definitely. I can see that. I just want to bring out something. I was muted because there was some noise in the house, so I couldn't talk. But there was something actually that you said, Vex, about how Gunko is acting. It kind of makes me think of what that starfish said in Sabaody about the Celestial dragons. Yeah, Papagu.
Some respect on Papagu.
Yeah, every era or every like next generation of Celestial dragons became worse and worse. Like, what if it's something we've seen the difference between Corazon and Doflamingo? What if there's something in their upbringing as well? I do believe there might be more to it as well, but there's something that creates that instill this, this condescending view of the world, that Greenville has also talked about. Like, well, we can take what we want to take because
it gave me Boa Hancock vibes.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
She's gonna start looking down on people so bad that she looks up. No, Cube, I'm glad you brought that up about Rosinante and Doflamingo. I've been on this thought process lately that these celestial dragons, each family has at least one member that has the chance of redemption, right? We see it in Moiscar, in the Doflamingo family. I don't care. In the Don Quixote. But I also noticed in Shaoria, I was rereading some of Egghead the other night, and when she hears about like the Void Century and how Vegapunk described it, she gets curious. Everyone else is like, "What's he dabbling?" But she's like, "What? The blank century? The flood and this and that." And it makes me think that each family of the Celestials has this chance of redemption or seeing the world how it really is and not the rose-tinted glasses that they have on now. And I wonder, this is going to be a little weird, a little bit of a stretch. I'm wondering if this Shaggy, Shanks, Shiv, Banks, whatever you want to call him, if he is of the same vein. And maybe that's why he's shunned by the Gorosei. Because if he is the one that met up with the Gorosei, I want to talk to you about a certain pirate, their response to him was very indifferent, very odd.
I mean, remember what
I don't think they would treat a celestial dragon like, to be like, "Oh, you're lucky we even speak with us."
So remember what in the Lost backstory, what Doflamingo said to Corazon when Corazon told him, "Law will never become one of your subordinates." When he thought Law escaped.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't worry, with a bit of education, he'll be willing to die for me." Which makes sense because of the opening, but when you think about it, all of his crew members keep referring to Doflamingo as young master, like a servant would do. So what if there's more to that? There's a way that certain people, and some people, like, because you said Mjosgard, there's also Home. two members of the family who saw the light. Then you have Corazon as well. The wife of Homing, Doflamingo's mom, did seem to be a good woman as well. So they could be like not all the celestial dragons.
For sure.
Yeah, like why don't say maybe not all of them drink? It's a spectrum. They don't drink the Kool-Aid at the same level, you know. And it one perspective, you know, we see many times where someone, it's like, what if it's a form of indoctrination at a young age, you know?
Of course, it's like you've said multiple times, the education is only held for the high.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about seeing that panel of Shaoria the other night, it just really stuck with me. And then the way that this Shanks clone twin brother has been acting is really standing out to me now. Now that I've got the idea that there's another Shanks out there, basically, I've tried to pick up on what their behavior. Short amount of time we've got to see them.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out. I can't shout him out enough. Daxake, the goat, who put out a theory on what Emu's full plan for the celestial dragons would end up being. And redemption is a word that's like, you know, you don't want that for the celestial dragons, but like a new understanding and like at least some sort of like a paradigm shift amongst them is something I think has been very well set up, like with these characters we were mentioning: Roshinante, Homing, Miosgard, and
Moisgard.
And it's really interesting to me to think of like if Luffy is going to punch this, you know, the sunlight into them, you know, and like make them see the truth of what is going down, because we do see that Shalria does. She's unaware there's wool being pulled over their eyes. There's a full narrative being spun for them where they think they're the best, they could do no wrong. And if they find out like the actual truth and the atrocities of things, that those walls that have built up around them, you know, have been built up around them for 800 years could come crumbling down. And I think Luffy is the character to do that. He is the dude who's gonna, you know, punch you so hard you start thinking, right? He's already punched Charlos once, so maybe he just needs to get it done a couple more times. But it would be really interesting to me if we do see the cracks, you know, start to show more so with the current regime of celestial dragons, and then eventually they turn against Emu and the Gorosei and the God's Knights and things like that.
Exactly.
We have a whole different war on our hands at that point. And also I wanted to say, when you said education earlier, it took every ounce of my being to not start singing the Education Connection theme song.
Well, with Shaoria too, a little thing I just spotted actually, because I just pulled up her wiki page. Her outfit has a specific type of flower on it, and it's sunflowers. Now the petals are painted a different color, but that is definitely a very sun-like flower that is on her images.
Crazy.
Yeah. In this idea of the celestial dragons becoming more aware of why they are in power, what happened actually, it's almost like a revolution will happen on Marie's Wall.
It kind of makes you think of if celestial dragons, the ones astronauts would, the true ones, if they have, because we saw Miosgard barely age in 10 years, but he aged a bit. It kind of makes you think of, similar to what we saw with Doflamingo's backstory, similar to what we saw with Oroshi's backstory. If, like, say they age very slowly to almost no time, meaning that they're living the same cycle, like whatever happened originally to the celestial dragons, they remember it, and it was similar to what happened to King Riku. Whoever they used to follow did some horrible things, and they suffered. Because you do have the same vibe of with some, when you think about such a celestial dragon, on how Orochi acts. We've seen rulers like that. They went through something, so everyone has to suffer, and it's like a big trauma for them. Because it's weird, you're right, you know, like they're very fast to the trigger. Remember what they did to Clap?
Rip.
Yeah,
Rip. Yeah.
One tune, it was over.
Yeah. But yeah, like definitely interested to see what's going on with all of that. If these figures are in fact celestials or not, if there's something else going on with the pecking order, if the God's Knights are like I said yesterday, potentially a lateral movement in authority to the Gorosei, and they could be held equivalently. They just have different jobs, like the Marines versus the Cypher Pole or something like that, or what's going on there. Lots more juicy stuff I'm sure we will most likely get in Elbaf. But the last thing that I wanted to speak about on this chapter is Loki's him. Like, this is crazy. This is so cool. Like, what a
He's got
great
no
interaction. Yeah,
No fear.
He's not afraid of
liberation.
Yeah, he's not afraid of death, and he's just like, hey, if that's what you gotta do, I'll wish him well in the afterlife or something. That's crazy.
Imagine if it was Loki's brother taking an impel down, and someone says, "Loki, you have to go save your brother." It is what it is.
Yeah,
Crazy.
the fact that he straight up called celestial dragons and the holy knights trash, my man stands on all 10 toes.
Yeah, and he
Where's
keeps
the tall
making
king?
reference to the offer. He's like, if that's what you're offering me, nope, we're done
Yeah,
here.
not interested.
He's like, I'll do business with you, but this isn't the deal for me.
Yeah, it's pretty well. I don't know. Loki's just a goat.
He's Loki.
I'm ready to see more from him. He's a savage. He's innocent. Free Loki.
Hashtag free Loki.
I do have one question, and then we're gonna wrap up for the day. But I want to ask the crew this: is what implications do you see going forward? We'll get more of from this reveal of a now second Nika figure.
I mean, for me, it's. Oh, sorry. Go back. So I'll go after.
No, you go ahead.
For me, it's like I said, there's a reason why they portrayed Buggy, Luffy, and Blackbeard as liberated from Impel Down. And I think as we go more to the story, we're going to find out there's a reason why we get vibes of people like Crocodile, Kaido. They knew something. Maybe not of Joy Boy specifically for Crocodile, but they knew something. And I think they were so isolated that when some stories came together, people assume it was the same person. So we're pretty soon, and most likely it'll be Robin who will catch on to that. But we'll find those different stories, What if in one of those stories, what they assume is Nika was Sora, the Warrior of the Sea? You know what I mean?
Ooh,
I'd love to
that'd be
find out
spicy.
that it was the different factions that witnessed the war wrote down different interpretations of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
you
he
said,
was the god of destruction because they had a utopia in their eyes, or he was the god of
For me-
liberation because they were oppressed.
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking and I'm a little bit back and forth on it because I don't need a full pantheon. Like, everybody mentions the 4 gods. I feel like every chance they possibly can within the community, and I don't know if we're gonna touch on any of that, but this does give a little bit more credence to all of that, in that there's these more interpretations, and there's more than 4 gods. We hear Big Mom has Tenjin, god of lightning, and then old man Hyogoro mentions a fire god or something when he sees Tank Man or something. So there's more than just those 4 gods. But what I didn't need much more to go to really stick to this idea, but to me this makes me really honestly truly feel like I'm on board with the fact that the Yami Yami no Mi is not a Logia.
Agreed.
We got the fake out with Luffy's. Yeah,
Preach,
exactly.
baby.
We got the fake out with Luffy's Devil Fruit, and I'm firmly on board now. We'll get a fake out with Teach's Devil Fruit as well, and this will be revealed to be this god of destruction Devil Fruit. If there's one more god that I feel like we do need to see, it's none of those other things that, okay, wow, it's none of those things that were mentioned, but here we are in the underworld, which Yami is kind of Yomi is a reference to the underworld, but Yami being darkness and the sun casting shadows, and bro, this is everything I need right here to make me fully on board for that. I've been lingering on the verge of believing that for a very long time. This pushed me over the edge.
So I'm gonna say this because I'm in your train of thought, and I would say that the 3 devil fruits that look so similar to one another, and they were all impelled down again, is Buggy's fruit, Blackbeard's fruit, Luffy's fruit. So that's why I'm all on board. If Buggy's fruit is not special like Blackbeard, stuff like that, there's gonna be a connection. It could be the split between both fruits.
If that happens, cool. But again, like I said, I only need that one more god is whoever that destruction god is that we were hearing about. I think that'd be sick.
And the fact that we haven't heard much. about the destruction god too makes me think that it's been erased from history for the most part. Just like Nika was, just like rocks. Yeah. And every time we see rocks so far, he's been shrouded in dark in a way that other silhouettes haven't. I mean, and look at your profile picture, Vex.
Yeah, the saber of Zebek being something that like Blackbeard, sails in on and stuff like that. Like
yes,
there's already those like inlaid connections. So like, what if Rox had that devil fruit, and that's why he was so surreptitiously erased from history? Like, this could be, man, we're cooking. We could do a whole stream on just that. I feel like, but
I do like the possibility of similar to Roger and Luffy. Rox had the will that goes with the fruit, but did not have the fruit because of Whitebeard. Nothing familiar was about that fruit. He didn't make any comment or anything when he first saw him with that ability. When he explained it, it's like for him it was a new thing. So I do like the idea that he was connected to that fruit, and he might be searching for that fruit, but like Roger.
I mean, Rox could have just kept it secret, for all we know. But
as well.
There's so many different things that could go down. Overall, I love this chapter. I think I give it like a solid 8.5, like maybe a 9, but I can't give it a 10. A 10 out of 10 is reserved for utmost greatness, and this had so much to talk about. We just spit for however long about all of these things. We did a whole 2-hour stream just on God's Knights.
And we can talk more. I mean, just on that fact you said with Rox, like Rox could have been using this fruit in the way it's intended, and Blackbeard just has no idea, much like Luffy was using the Gummo.
Yeah, but I'm leaving a little bit of headspace above this chapter because I don't think this is the best that we will receive. I think it is greatness though, and an 8.5 I think is very respectable, maybe even verging on a 9.
Yeah, I think it's a 9. If we had gotten a heartwarming moment or something, that when they mentioned the Harley text, they flash cut to Robin and she's already like, that would have 10 out of 10 like but yeah, it's definitely a 9 for me. And I'm gonna be honest with that implication of Harold and Yarul and the sword, that's sticking in my mind right now. And yeah, if that becomes true, this will retroactively become a 10 out of 10 for me, because it showed us right there and then the foreshadowing that yes, Yarul he was the one that killed him, and his sword's in his head. Like that is the spiciest thing. I've already messaged Dak and been like, hey man, I was on this, now you're on it. Like,
so any other final thoughts anybody has?
So my grade would be, it's an 8.3. Basically Brooks's bounty when he comes back.
I think the gang is going to get into some shenanigans, being separated from all the level-headed people, and this is going to cause some turmoil that eventually spills into our big conflict on Elbaf. But I'd love to get more of what the God's Knights are here for. What was their offer? What are they trying to entice Loki with? And like we said yesterday, I don't think Loki was talking to the God's Knights through the Den either. He has someone else that's his treble figure in the background, edging him on.
We still need to figure out who that silhouette is as well. So there's a lot that we could expect to Elbaf to deliver on, and that's why I said I wanted to leave a little headspace and not give my 10s out so liberally,
And to end it all on my end, keep an eye out, guys. This is the year where we're gonna find out that Nolan also was in Elbaf. I could sense it coming.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, especially with that Harley text mention. That's something Nolan would have been all on.
Absolutely.
To end off on me, this is what I'm gonna say is, next chapter, expect the setup for whatever Usopp is doing in Elbaf. We've gotten, over the past few chapters, we got Frankie getting set up with the Atom Tree, Vegapunk. We've got Robin set up in the library. And now we're having Luffy set up to go find Loki and potentially 2 of the Holy Knights with Zoro and Nami. I think next chapter we'll set up Usopp and his crew, which will be Sanji and whoever else is around to stick up with him. But I think Sanji and Jinbei are the 2, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's what's going to happen next chapter. Is we're going to see some Usopp stuff and setting up his storyline so that we can go with all of the storylines running congruently as we set up to, like Nak said, the build up of how Elbaf will go proper.
It could also be very similar to Alabasta. Usopp teams up with Chopper, education plus botanist, plant stuff. Sanji, Zoro and Nami together.
Yeah,
Well,
and we haven't seen nothing
Robin's
yet.
with
Like
Chopper right now.
Elbaf's a massive country too. Like,
Exactly.
we just put our foot in the door. So
Yeah.
It's gonna be
You know
great
what we're
arc.
not going to see? That giant sword.
Crazy. Yeah. But I think that's probably all about we got. If you guys want to continue the discussion, feel free, hit the link in the description, join the Discord. We're always yapping in there pretty much every single day. We got a nice little section for spoilers that's always popping, whenever that's a thing. And yeah, we got a stream that we did yesterday on the Gods Nights. Straw Hat Lucas, the captain of the Eternal Dawn himself, just released a fire rambling addiction about the Joy to the World, the Doctor Who Christmas special we just got. And he's got another an arc review from the Greed Island arc of Hunter x Hunter. So make sure you subscribe to his channel. Make sure you subscribe to Nak Reacts so you can check out his free reactions. They're absolutely goated. And we've also got a D&D campaign that's ongoing, and we're gonna be having another session on, I believe, February 2nd.
I believe that, yeah.
At 10 a.m. 11 a.m. EST. Yeah, so make sure you guys are subscribed, like the video, and leave us a comment of what your favorite take of ours was or favorite panel of the chapter. We'd love to hear from you all.
And
yes, of course,
if you just want to chill, drop by. We does watch parties. We're always in VC. Bring your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm planning on Tuesday night watching the new One Piece dub episodes. I always watch the sub and the dub. So stop by in the Discord. I will be watching those new dub episodes of the One Piece anime, getting hyped for the return of the Cube. With that, I think you can take us off.
And we'll see you all at the next sunrise. Peace.
Bye.